even though there's still positivity in, writing these healing songs, for me, that's not healthy. So for me, I like to give them the best version of myself. So I don't necessarily love to write from, I'm stuck in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. My name's Adam, and this podcast is about you and your journey in music, and we can talk about the new music you've been putting out as well, and the new video.
Cool, man. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Sweet. So always start off with, where were you born and raised?
I was born in a small town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called Uniontown, Pennsylvania. And I was raised a little bit of everywhere. I lived there until I was about 6 years old. I moved to Mississippi for a bit of a time. I was in South Carolina for a little bit of a time. And then the majority of my life I've spent out here in Los Angeles. But lived in 4 different states before I was 10 years old.
Wow. What was it like moving around like that?
It honestly, I don't think it's was that hard on me as maybe some would expect. I mean, I know it's different for, every, different people, but my experience was just pretty good. I actually kind of enjoyed, meeting a bunch of new friends and things, every 2-3 years. And it's really just shown me how to, adjust and also just make friends, quickly, and also don't get just really enjoy the moments that you have with people, and also to get attached, but don't get attached where you can't move on. So I don't know, it taught me a lot.
Sure. I would imagine. I would think that would be very hard to move around.
Yeah, like I think back to it, it wasn't too difficult. Like I said, it just, I guess, I mean, everybody has a different experience, so I don't want to be ignorant and say,
sure.
I'm sure there's some kids had a very poor experience with that and didn't like, changing schools and things like that. But I think it taught me how to adapt,
Very cool. Very cool. How did you get into music?
And I got into music through an audition for a boy band back in 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And yeah, dance brought me out to Los Angeles originally. Just that was my first, passion, first, art form. And it was an audition, and I didn't sing. I was just like, all right, well, it's another job. It was another job to me. I'm not gonna lie. It was like an audition. I was like, all right, well, I don't really, love this yet, this and that, but I mean, the pay seems good and it seems like a good gig. So, let me just learn how to sing for a little bit. And then that's how I started. And then from there, I mean, it still even took me after that, audition to be with the boy band and to, be singing those songs and touring. It still took a couple years for me to truly like love it for myself. I love performing. I love just being a professional and doing shows and, those types of things. But yeah, it probably took about 3 years for me to really like, all right, I love my voice. I love singing. I want to, try new things with it, not just because it was a part of the job, but okay, now I do this on my off time as well.
Wow, that's really interesting. So did you move to Los Angeles to pursue a career in dancing, or like how did you get to LA?
So came to LA because I got some great supportive parents. I came out here. We didn't like fully move and say, all right, we're going to come out here and go for dance. I was like 9 years old, 10 years old. So like my parents were supportive, but we just built a house back in South Carolina. I'm supposed to be going to high school there, kind of the whole just normal type of deal. And my dad was like, all right, I got 3 months worth of rent. If you go out there and, if things are moving and things are going fine, cool, we'll renegotiate. We'll talk about it. If not, you're coming back home and we're sticking to the plan. So I'm really appreciative of that. I'm saying I've had this very, just humble and not this exaggerated experience of, my parents living through me or, a momager or dadager. It's like, all right, people are telling you to come out here to LA. You have choreographers who are telling you to come out. I've had choreographers when I lived in South Carolina actually get me signed to agencies out here, and they didn't even see me. They're like, all right, you're signed to this agency, this. So I was getting a lot of good referrals and things. So I was like, all right, let's just come out here and see. And we're 12 years later, and I never left. So
I was going to say, you must have had some success prior to moving to LA. It wasn't your dad just like, you're pretty good.
No,
let's go.
I had one job. It was, I did the Hannah Montana movie. That was my first professional job, technically. Yeah, I was 9 years old when I did that. I went to a dance competition convention called Monsters of Hip Hop. And they just have different industry choreographers come. It's actually it's a great company. I know the owners and everything. And Jamal Sims, who's done a lot of the Step Up movies and just all those types of things, he called the owner, Andy Funk, and was like, hey, there's a curly haired kid in the intermediate room. I need him for the Hannah Montana movie. So then Andy calls me. He's like, "Hey," because I mean, I didn't do none of this. Like, I'm literally in South Carolina. I go to a little dance school. I go to these conventions, but never like, oh, let's go to LA. And this is a hobby of mine.
Sure.
So that I get the call and they're like, yo, if you can make it to Tennessee in 2-3 days, you're a principal dancer. You're signed to Clear Talent Group. And I'm just like, okay, like it was a great opportunity,
What's
but
going
still
on?
like so not infatuated with like the like extremities of the business. We were just like, all right, cool, it's a cool opportunity. Let's drive out here. And that was the deposit that I think gave, my family just like, okay, well, this happened. They haven't even met him and he signed him. He got this. This is his first job ever. And it's something of some good status. So yeah, I think that gave him the confidence.
Sure.
And when I came out here, I had meetings with Judy Taylor from Disney. A lot of people were trying to like meet with me. I was super young. Even though I walked in there, she's like, I love you. You're just so small. I can't even it's a Disney show. She's like, I can't even do that with you yet. So like, but yeah, it was honestly a great time coming out here because there wasn't any pressure to make it because there was already the understanding that if it doesn't keep going, I still enjoy my life back where I'm from. I still got my friends. I play basketball. Okay. I'm in like fifth grade at this time. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's not this life or death situation. And I think that's why I probably did get the response that I got because it was just genuine and I wasn't trying to get a job or trying to do something. It's like, yo, I'm this kid from South Carolina and y'all like what I'm doing. So I'm gonna just keep rocking.
That's cool. I'm sure your friends are pretty stoked for you too. Like, oh my God, my buddy's gonna be in a movie. Like,
it was super cool. I actually got to put my current girlfriend actually in the movie with me when I was 9 years old. She was we met at this dance school back in like 2006 or something crazy. And then they said, yo, we actually need a girl if you know somebody. And I was like, Mom, bring Carly, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to bring her. So it's actually, I mean, that she doesn't like stay with professional dance anymore, but it's just so cool that me and her got to share that. Like, she's done one professional job and it was the job I put her on.
That is so rad. That is really rad.
Cool. Super cool.
So you're in LA, you auditioned for this boy band and you had never sang professionally before or even really at all?
No, I actually despise singing.
That's so crazy because your voice is so good.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, it was it started after I was in Mississippi and I was going to like this little public school and they were just doing one of those like school commercials. And they asked me to be a part of it. And it was just kind of this, it's called like Mississippi College Savings. It was like showing like kids here. And then they put us in like doctors' outfits or lawyers, just kind of show this transition. But we also had to sing This Little Light of Mine. And I didn't know that it was part of the commercial. And you got all these other little kids and these momagers and stuff warming up their kids and singing and this. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And my mom was like, okay, do you just know the words? And I was just that's just who we are. And I was like, yeah. So after that commercial, I didn't sing for 7 years, petrified, horrified, terrible. Didn't even sing in the shower. I didn't sing in the car. Like, I'm so serious. I never let any note come out. It just wasn't a thing of mine. But I got into the audition. I sang I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. I learned that song. And like I said, from there, I started to really fall in love with it and, make it my own and those types of things. But it definitely takes a process it took a process to get there for sure.
So once you got in this boy band, I did read also that you were on Kidz Bop. Was that just the records or did you do the tour? Like,
I did. So yeah, I was part of the first group of like, it's called the Kidz Bop Kids. So we did all the music videos, all the commercials, all the tours. But for the record, that was not my voice on the CDs because they weren't the best. So I just want to put that out there. I always say that. No hate to Kidz Bop, but no, I did not record any of the vocals on there. I was just the face and the likeness of the brand.
Oh wow!
But yeah, that was
actually
cool.
Interviewed somebody yesterday that was on Kidz Bop. Maybe you know that.
Oh, nice.
Indy Star. Were you there when she was there?
No, I was. Okay. It was me, Valerie, Kira, Harrison. Like we're talking like OG. Like it's like Kidz Bop 15, 16.
Okay.
Days. Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Okay. So how long did you do the boy band for?
IM5 was together for probably about 4 years, I believe, from a sense of when we started and when we were put together by Simon Fuller, who created American Idol, Jamie King, who is one of Michael Jackson's tour directors, one of his dancers, Madonna, the Super Bowl, Bruno Mars, like just everybody. He's incredible. And then social media guru Perez Hilton. So you had these three guys who were like all right, maybe, there's these boy bands out. We all have our own names. Maybe they were slightly bored and they're like, all right, let's just start this thing. And they actually had a process of about 9 months of auditioning that I wasn't a part of. I literally came in the last callback before they made their final decisions.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and somebody was actually stalking me for 2 weeks at Millennium Dance Complex. And his name was Felipe. Shout out Felipe. But I guess, the partners, that we call them the partners, that sent them there to look for me at Millennium because they knew this little kid who was a good dancer, used to be around here, and they want him to audition for the band.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in class one time, and this guy, like, he sees me in there, and he turns to my mom, not knowing that it's my mom, like, oh my God, there's that kid. Like, I've been looking for him for 2 weeks. My mom is like, who are you talking about? Like, well, you a grown ass man and you looking for my kid?
Yeah, right.
And he's like, oh, I'm no, she gave the whole thing, broke it all down. And then she came to me and I met him and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to sing. I don't want to do it. Wow. And they was like, oh, it's a good opportunity. I was like, yeah, I'll think about it, but I don't know. Started to hear a little bit more about it. Not gonna lie, like, I mean, I've always been a young businessman. So once I saw that, we were guaranteed this amount of money, this and this amount of years. And I was like, I can learn how to sing for this. So, and that's what happened for real.
Well, and you did that for 4 years and obviously you learned to love singing. Do you remember the moment that it kind of clicked and you're like, I really enjoy this? Was it like a year or two into it, or like how long did it take you to really kind of decide?
I would say within the first 6 months to a year, because we went through a boot camp, an intensive boot camp for about 6 months. We were there 5 days a week. We would do school at the rehearsal studio. We would sing for like 3-4 hours. We would dance for 3-4 hours. We were having fittings, and this went on for 6 months, just like literally breaking us in, conditioning, working out, going to Runyon Canyon, like this is a full blown thing. So after that, and we started, rehearsing some of the songs and starting to learn my voice. Also, too, it's now that I've gotten older and work with different coaches and things like that, I've really gotten to appreciate my voice. The more the coach understands how to, bring that out of me, or what style of voice do I have, or this and that. In the beginning, I was just the young kid who should have had the highest voice, but I never had no vocal training. So they're having me sing the highest parts and I don't have the proper training. So I honestly didn't really enjoy it. I'm like, bruh, this hurts. It's tired. I can't, what I'm saying? I felt like I wasn't getting the best shot that I should have been given. But we roll with the punches and this and that. And yeah, so after I went through that, figured out how to, properly sing, got their blessing of like, all right, bro, like, I'm not gonna sing this today because we have a show tomorrow. So like, y'all just gonna have to give me some more grace, and I have a naturally raspy voice, especially at that age, going through puberty, all this stuff. I was like, bruh, I don't, I'm just doing what I need to do. So I had to get through that. Probably like 15, 16 years old. I was finally, okay, I could start enjoying this. Okay. And then after I left the group though, that's when I was like, all right, now I can figure out what I actually want to do. Because we're just singing like pop songs and stuff like that. And not that I don't enjoy it, but it's just such a different style, such a different tone. It's such a different, honestly, techniques to sing certain ways. And I was just, I'm just glad that I was in that group, but I'm also glad that I got out of it so I could actually learn, what's best for my voice.
Sure. I mean, when you get out, then you put out like a piano ballad. It's not even you get out and you kind of do a slow transition from pop into, it's like right out the gate.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to make that decision or you just didn't care?
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. It wasn't something that I planned. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna mess the game up, I'm gonna change up on or this and that. I took a year off after the group ended.
Oh wow, okay.
I didn't do anything. I was 17, I think, when I left at the end. And I was like, since I came out here at 10 years old till 17, almost 18 years old, even though it's a blessing, I had never not worked. I've always been on a job, on this project, traveling, touring. I had never not been working since I got here. So just for my own mental, for my own brain, I was like, all right, let me just cool it. Because I don't need to rush into the next thing. Like I said, I've been paid for the last 3-4 years. I can relax. I'm also still living in my parents' home, so I can relax. I didn't want to overstress myself. So then, yeah, even with you're referring to Feelings, which is still my like number one stream song out right now, which is so crazy. Which just goes to show like there is such thing as like, not that it's beginner's luck, but when you first, really just like put yourself out there on the line, like it really does come across.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened. Yeah. I was just literally, well, actually, no, I got a regular job at a place called Tilly's. It was a clothing store.
I know Tilly's.
Yeah. So I got a job.
I'm from Southern California. I know Tilly's.
Yeah. So I got a job at Tilly's in the morning doing the like the stocking. So I would just, change the prices, fold the shirts. I didn't work with customers. I just did it's either a shift from 6 to 10 a.m. or 7 to 11.
Did you have to use that folding board for the t-shirts?
Yeah, we did use them, but it got to the point that the longest thing for me that I didn't like was the price changing, and I learned just like the SKU numbers, like if something was missing, and
sure.
It was
I hated
a lot.
folding shirts, dude. I worked at a Vans shoe store, and it was like, man, it was like a nightmare trying to get it to look all perfect.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed that though. I didn't mind. I actually always, when you don't work somewhere, you're like, it's like at In-N-Out. I would love to use the potato cutter. It's kind of one of those things. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll use the folder. But yeah, I was working there and actually thinking about, my girl now. I'm saying I've known this girl since I was 7 years old.
That's always crazy.
Known. It was like this slow thing. So she wasn't even really talking to me. She was in college. She went to Alabama. She had a man, all this stuff. But I'm still folding clothes, thinking about her. Shit, don't worry. So I end up like literally that's when that song was written. I'm literally sitting here because that song is literally me just being caught up in my feelings. She don't even know I'm thinking about her, type mess, and I don't really need her to. I'm just literally sitting in this moment, and that's how it came to be. I was folding clothes and just started humming and this and that, and then I think like a day or two later, I had just started like getting back in the studio by myself. I'd never done that before. This is a very new thing. I'm like, I'm in the studio by myself. I don't have any tracks. I don't have any this. I don't have any producers. I don't have nothing. So I literally, it's a very simple chord progression. And that was the first one. And I just, from such a pure place of unknown with my relationship with her, with my music career, with what I was doing, writing it at Tilly's, all that goes into why I think people just feel that record so much, because it was so unplanned, so raw, so authentic. You know what I'm saying? That you honestly can't plan for those moments again. It's just not going to happen.
What a great story to have though. Like
yeah, man.
That huge song. And then now you're with her.
I know. Right.
That's rad. That's so rad. You put out your first real EP November of 2019, and then the world shuts down like 4 months later. What was that like?
I mean, it was cool. I will say that I do feel like I got to enjoy the project being out. We did a lot of good work with Familiar Strangers. There's a record on there called Rough Rider that did really well, Lovey Dovey. And these records were just kind of proving to my fans and to myself, honestly, that I could make unique music. It's not, there's a lot of different pockets on there. There's a lot of different elements, saying that people maybe wouldn't put together, and things like that. And even when I, after I made that project, I didn't want to stay in that lane because I knew it was like an experimental R&B project, but it still came across very, understandable. It's not like it was this very avant-garde sounding thing. It's still, you can still bop to it, you still know the words, but just in the sense of the instrumentation, it definitely was an experimental type of project. So I didn't mind it. I actually think it's done really well, and I think it got played a lot during the beginning of the pandemic. So I think it was great.
That's good. Yeah, because a lot of people kind of put a record out, and it was like they had these big plans to kind of hit the road, and then it was all, obviously.
Yeah, mine had already kind of came out. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it dropped in November, so I had November, December, and things didn't really start shutting down until about April. So I really got my like 6 months. Honestly, nowadays too, people's attention spans are very short. So I got the time that I needed with that project. I honestly think I just dropped one in July that super proud of as well. But this one, I've definitely not had the opportunity of, promoting it and touring and doing certain things like I was able to do with the first one. So it's not that I'm definitely realizing the difference. You know what I'm saying? Not that even it's a bad thing. I have a lot of other things going on, but it's definitely a little bit harder to, push out a project when, as everybody should, they're also even just focusing on themselves. We've got a lot of different things that they got to worry about right now.
Right.
So I'm just glad to, put out some good stuff. If my fans are loving it, new people are following it. and just giving them just a good body of work. You know, nowadays is, even for myself, there's so many other bigger priorities than what music you're listening to, which artists are you blowing up online, you know, and those things. So I take that as well with a grain of salt, because I'm a human as well. So I'm not worried about just, oh, pay attention to me and all this. Like, bro, if my music can accompany what you're going through right now, cool. If not, I'm not mad.
Right. Well, what did you do? Like, I mean, when the pandemic first started, were you kind of like, I mean, how did you react to that as far as like an artist?
I took a moment, man. As an artist, I don't necessarily love to write from a place of like hurt or disappointment or sadness. I know a lot of artists do, they can pull from that. I'm more like, if I know I'm having that experience, I'm gonna have it, and then I'm gonna write after, because I just don't want my people. I just use them as like, you know, my congregation of people. I don't want to give them something that's not positive, even though there's still positivity in, you know, writing these healing songs. For me, that's not healthy. So for me, I like to give them the best version of myself. So I don't necessarily love to write from, I'm stuck in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't really want that. So I was like, all right, let me just listen and be aware. I'm a normal person as well. Let me take a moment. Let me reset. Let me, you know, go to the desert, make a vacation. Let's stretch a little more. You know, drink more water. You know, I just really took that time for myself as well, and it set me up for this project. Like I said, that dropped in July, that I was super proud of, because I wrote those from a new level of self-love and understanding, and being like, okay, even though this is the vibe right now and everybody's kind of in this headspace, I want to write post-COVID, even though we're still in the pandemic right now. I think my project is still very forward thinking. You're not getting any ounce of of being worried or uncertain. This is a very confident project, and that's just me kind of, you know, trying to just like proclaim what I'm going to, even though we're in the thick of this shit. I'm not going to be writing from this perspective.
I like
I don't want to live there. You know?
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's called Love So Different, and like you said, it came out in July. What's like this? There's a story behind it, right?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's a little bit of that. Sorry, camera. It's a little bit of that. Like I said, just using a different level of self-love to myself. I've always been very, connected to my faith, very confident, very, I would like to say peaceful, and those types of things. And sometimes, you keep those things very personal to yourself, because you don't want to, rub anybody the wrong way. It's, some people just have an issue with people like being, healthy and good. So I think with this project, I got over that hump and was like, all right, I'm not going to hold my tongue or hold back the great experience that I'm having, even though we're mid-COVID 2020, I'm not. So I really wasn't. So it really, that's the level of self-love that I'm saying that I had to use, and was like, okay, I can still speak how I'm feeling. You get on records like that, I'm passionate. It's just talking about I'm a passionate and I'm a good dude. You got whatchamacallit, that don't look away. It's just like don't look away from your boy. I'm doing good. It's like there's these records on here that I wasn't scared to be like, hey, yo, there is just a lightheartedness that goes with it. We don't have to be so heavy. You know what I'm saying? I love Billie Eilish's stuff, where I can't, well, let me not lie. I don't love her stuff. I don't listen to it. I understand it, but I'm not going to write things that are that heavy and that this, and even though that does have a pocket. It's just about doing what's good for you. That's clearly good for her, and it's not going to be good for me I can't even write like that. Like I can't, if I really even think about it, I literally laugh at myself. Say if I'm in a very sad moment, I get to my piano, I'll do it for like maybe 30 minutes, and I'm like, all right, bro, get over this. I'm not, I can't stay in that headspace.
Right.
So yeah, it's really that. And just honestly kind of describing the love that I exude, the love that God has for me, and the love that me and my girl have. It's all different. And the only reason it's different, not to talk it up, is because of the time which I wrote these songs in, is that wasn't the typical theme. It was a different way to look at where we were just at, and how to get over the hump.
I've never talked about like relationships on this podcast, but I'm very curious now, like, because you've known this girl and you've liked this girl since you guys were like 7 years old.
Yeah.
You have a record called Girlfriend on the album. You've obviously are together now. Like, when did
Yes.
that come together? Was that when did you guys get together? Now I'm just curious.
This is like 3 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, I had known her since I was 7 or 8 years old. She's like 2 years older than me. Always known, even when we were at the little dance school, they were just, it's one of these things where even like it's just so dramatic. That's what I'm just so funny. Like, and I've had other girlfriends, I've been with other people, she's had other people. Like, it's one of those things where I've just been sitting here like, you're gonna figure it out one day. You're gonna figure it out. Like, I remember one time, I was that young. I remember I used some hair product, and it wasn't vanilla, but it was like this orange stuff. And she's like, "Oh, it smells like vanilla." That next week, I was like, "Mom, I need vanilla shampoo and conditioner." And she's like, "Why?" Like, it's like little. I've been setting her up like her whole life. She just didn't really know.
That's so.
And then
funny.
I was doing a tour for my first project, Familiar Strangers, and we met in Charlotte, North Carolina. So her and a couple friends drove down there. I haven't seen her in a couple years. And, she came to the show. I sang Feelings. It was just kind of like, I think she was like, all right, I figured it out. But for her, everybody's relationship is kind of based off, what they see and, maybe what their parents have been through and certain things like that. And, both of our parents have great relationships, but they lived in the same place. And I live in Cali and she lives on the East Coast. So I think for her, it was like, this just doesn't make sense. And for me, I'm like, look, it's going to have to make sense or it's just never going to be that, you know what I'm saying? So we made the commitment to, make it work, you know what I'm saying? The first year and a half, 2 years was definitely a little tough. She's still on the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
She lives in Miami, but she has a great job. She's got her own business down there and doing things like that. So we're very supportive. We see each other like once a month. We fly back and forth. It's definitely, it takes some effort, but I
can imagine.
I've been waiting for this long. I'm not in a rush to be in the same place.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She's like, oh, I just can't wait. I'm like, I can't wait to be in the same place either. But you see how much we're getting to know each other by just talking this much? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I look at it. I think so many people get distracted by, like, even though you're in love with somebody, even married couples, they can just get so distracted by the in front of you thing. And I think me and her have just reached such a different depth because we don't have just sex and certain things to just distract us and just be like, oh well, this is great because you look cute and we do fun things and like we really know about each other, so it's cool.
I love that. And you obviously have the history there from being a young age and similar passions. So you're in a Netflix show and you have a song in the show. How did you how was that must have been tell me about getting the song. Talk to me about getting the song in the show and being in it at the same time. I mean, I would imagine they're like, okay, you're an actor, but wait, you have a song that you want to pitch to us? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So, yes. First off, shout out Netflix. Shout out Never Have I Ever. We just got confirmed for season 3 yesterday, so that is a big win.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you. So yes, we were getting ready to shoot the finale episode, and my character Marcus Jones, they wanted me to do this little dancing. They knew that I danced. So they wrote that in the script. So I was basically going to do this dance to ask Shira to the prom. And they were like, yo, we want to do somewhat of just like, a TikTok vibe dance. Everybody wants to freaking bite off TikTok vibe things. And they were like, well, we don't know what song yet. We're going to do this and that. We'll send you some options. And then my bell went off and I was like, hey, I actually have a song that I think would be pretty well for that scene. Let's see. So I send them the song, send it to production, all the business people, and they go back and forth. And they said, hey, based off some logistic things, we already have a song that we're going to use for that section, but we want to use your song in the prom scene at the end. And I was like, okay, for sure. Like, first off, never even planned to have my song in there. Secondly, it's dope that they had me dance. And then for me to think, all right, well, they don't want to use it for the dance part. I mean, it might not work. And then they call me back and say, nah, we're still going to put it in there. That's just how it came out. And it was really cool because Lang, who's one of the main writers, her and Mindy, was like, yo, I think this matches perfect. And I, biased, non-biased, I really think it does. There's a lot of times with these songs and shows and movies, there's just so basic, if I might say, not in any way, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like a real artist putting out the song. So you can literally just, this just sounds like a stock sound. When you heard that come on, and it's proof because I even checked You know, my statistics after it got Shazammed upwards of like 5,000 times within, I think, the first couple of days or a week of the song coming out. So that just shows that, you know, you have a real song and a thing, it still catches people's ears. So I'm just super blessed to have that in there. And yeah, people are loving it, man. It was just cool on set too, because, you know, everybody's, you know, they were actually playing it on set.
That's cool.
People don't really know that, but it wasn't one of those things that they just put in after. They were playing that thing all day on set. So it actually made sense. It was like, okay, we're at a prom, it's bopping. Okay, everybody's got their date at the prom, you know, don't look at my girlfriend. It was just it just worked out perfectly, and I'm very pleased.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Did a lot of people on set know that you were a singer at that time, or they just think you're an actor?
I knew the cast knew,
Okay.
you know, but you know, a lot of the extras and things that were there, they didn't know. I think a lot of the crew probably didn't know either. But they definitely knew, you know, after that.
Right. They're probably like, damn, like this dude.
I didn't know it was going to be played while we shot. So I'm getting ready for the scene. I knew that it was going to be at that part, and I'm in wardrobe or I'm at Crafty, like grabbing a snack. And I wasn't in there while they were, I guess, filming this one certain part. And I start hearing it and I'm like, oh, they not playing this on set. I was like, no way. So I go in there and I'm still not my scene yet, but they're playing it every single take. And that once I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm lit. That's tight.
That is so rad. Cool.
Yeah.
That is so rad. And the most recent song or single in the video, Passionate, talk to me about that a little bit.
Passionate, man. It's great record. We shot the video in Newport Beach.
Wow.
Shout out to my friend Olivia Wong. She's an incredible dancer, artist in herself, not a music artist, but just sad. But if she just heard me say dance, she does a lot of things. So Olivia Wong, great artist, you know, just all around entertainer. And yeah, man, I wrote that song, like I said, in the middle of 2020, second half of 2020. And that song really just describes how my girl likes how I'm passionate. Just everything that I do is in a passionate way. You know what I'm saying? The way I touch her, the way I ask her questions, you know, I'm a gentleman, you know what I'm saying? So I was really just putting that coat on and just trying to give the female listener an opportunity to know what it would be like if you were involved with me, and give guys the opportunity to play the song while they with their girl and, you know, try to cuddle up with them. And that's the record right there.
I love it. That's awesome. And the record's rad. Love So Different. And thank you so much, Dana, for doing this. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Adam. This was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. I have one more question for you before I let you go.
Yeah,
do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Yes, definitely have some advice for aspiring artists. I would say to make sure you still make time for regular life. More than anything, I think a lot of artists, especially when you make a big jump, you make a move, you really invest a lot of money, you know, you do things, it can be hard to be like, all right, even though I did this, I still gotta pay attention to my everyday. And I think I make the best music when I don't make music for a while and I just come back, and that first week or two is just, that's kind of how I've written all my projects. You know what I'm saying? That's how this last one came out. I did music, like I said, I took some time off, went to the desert, did this, chilled. And then I finally got back on the keyboard and the project basically came together in 2 weeks. So I think that goes with any, you know, kind of art form. Of course, practice, don't be lazy, don't do things. If you make an investment into a studio, be in your studio, but also value your time outside of that as well, because we will get older. We will want other things in life. We will want families. We want this, and we don't want to you want to set up your career, but you want to set up your life as well. Because, you know, you don't want your life to be your career, because if your career doesn't do well, then your life's not going well. And that would be my biggest piece of advice, because you don't want those things to be attached, or then you're always feeling like you got to work to be good. And if your work is doing shitty, then you're doing shitty. And it's not maybe the healthiest thing to do.